Welcome to Raiders on the Record, the podcast featuring Hastings High School athletics. I'm Athletic Director Trent Hansen. My colleague Tim Hanneberg and I work together to bring you the stories of Raider sports. We are thrilled to share conversations with the athletes, coaches, and alumni that represent Raider Nation. Check back weekly and be sure to share this podcast with your friends in the Raiders Network.
Johnny Bezdicek is a junior at Hastings High School and will be a 2023 Raider graduate. During his time at Hastings, he has participated in football and track and field. In football, he is a 2-year letter winner, playing wide receiver both seasons. In track and field, Johnny is a 2-year letter winner, running numerous relays and the 100-meter and 200-meter runs. Recently, Johnny set the school record for the 200 meters with a time of 22.03 seconds and the 100 meters with a time of 10.84 seconds. All right, here we are with Johnny Bezdicek. Johnny, to get things started, let's hear about your family and you growing up. So did you always live in Hastings? Did you guys eventually move to Hastings? Are your parents originally from Hastings? Let's hear about your mom, your dad, any brothers or sisters. Let's start off with your family here and you growing up.
All right. So, originally my whole family lived in Cottage Grove, grew up. So I was around I think I was like 1 year old when we moved into Hastings, and I don't live like in Hastings. I live just like right over the bridge in like Denmark Township. And originally my parents wanted all of us to go to Park High School, but the buses didn't come from Park. So we went to Hastings instead. And yeah, I live with my mom, my dad. I have a brother and a sister, and then I have a half sister as well. She's like 25. And so basically I've lived in Hastings my whole life. Went to Hastings Middle School, Hastings High School, and Pinecrest Elementary. So yeah.
Awesome. So you named the school. That was going to be my next question. Some of the schools you've attended here in Hastings. Any shout outs to any teachers? Obviously a lot of them are still teaching since you're only a junior in high school right now. So any shout outs to teachers that had a really big impact on your life at Pinecrest, at the middle school, and at the high school so far?
Pinecrest, I really like my 4th grade teacher, Mr. Destros. He always set a positive vibe in the classroom, and it was just fun. He always had little games for us to play, and it was cool. And in middle school, I think she's like a principal now somewhere, but I liked Miss Selesky a lot. I feel like she felt like comfortable around the kids, and she wasn't too strict, which I kind of liked. So it was cool with that.
What about here at the high school? Anybody stand out yet or no? Probably not yet. 3 years in and no one has a big impact yet. Maybe next year. We'll see though.
Well, I like kind of like the teachers that are more laid back with, like, that you can kind of just like, I don't want to say like joke around with, but you kind of just like joke around with, and they won't get mad if you're like kind of having fun in the classroom. And I don't mean that in like a disrespectful way either. It's kind of like,
no, I think I get it.
You think you get it?
I get it. I understand what you're saying here. All right. So this is a sports podcast. So we focus pretty much all around sports and life as well. So let's hear about your sports journey. What sports did you play growing up? I typically like to stop here at 7th grade. Seems like that's when people get a little more serious with sports, getting into high school. Maybe some people start playing at a JV level when they get to 7th and 8th grade. So let's hear about the sports you played growing up. Anything that goes along with those as well.
So up to 7th grade?
Yep, up to 7th grade.
So, I've always been a huge fan of football, and like I'd watch like the NFL. So, but we weren't allowed to play like tackle football until 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always excited for that. But before that, I played baseball. I'm pretty sure every kid started with baseball, but so I only played baseball. And then my dad was a soccer player. He was a football player also growing up, so he wanted me to try out soccer. So I played soccer for a few years, but then I quit soccer around 8th grade just because football came around. And baseball, soccer, football were the only sports I played up until 7th grade.
Gotcha. So then, like I said, yeah, starting in 7th and 8th grade, let's kind of start there. What sports did you play in the fall, the winter, the spring? And then once again, let's go through 7th and 8th grade, and then we can start up with 9th grade at the high school level. and we'll start with the sports you played in high school.
All right, so fall sports was football most of the time. I played football for the school. I didn't play school soccer. And then winter, I didn't play a sport in middle school and winter. And then spring came around. I did track my 7th grade year because I mostly did it because Peyton Bro and my friends was in it. And then 8th grade, for some reason, I don't know why, but he didn't do track. So I didn't either. So 7th, 8th grade, a little bit of track, mostly football. And then in the summer, that's when I play like summer soccer for just like Hastings. And yeah.
Awesome. You get to the high school. Let's hear about each season that you played a sport in, starting in the fall. Football, probably, I'm going to guess. And then we'll go all the way to where we are right now.
All right. So 9th grade, my dad he always told me that I had to make a choice between football, soccer once high school came around because we're in the same season. And he chose football when he got to high school, and so did I. Chose football. And then freshman year for the winter, I had nothing to play in the winter, and Tom Kennedy just happened to play basketball, and he's like, dude, just play basketball. So I was like, all right, why not? So I played some basketball. I mean, I wasn't like the best basketball player. I don't think I was bad for just starting, but I thought it was kind of fun, kind of tough some days, but that was cool. And then this 9th grade was when like COVID just started to come around in the spring. So I was signed up for track. We did a few practices just like in the gym before we got outside, and then it got canceled. The whole season got canceled due to COVID. So that was tough. And then sophomore year, basically the same series of events, except I played football my in the fall season, and that was just super weird because of COVID. It was just like everything was all split up, and there was limited practices, and then it started super late.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the year we were playing in like when we'd go to Todd Field after school, we'd have to like shovel the field just to be able to. I mean, it sucked, but it's kind of a cool memory to have.
Yeah.
And then winter, I actually like I separated my AC joint in my shoulder, so the bone was sticking out. And basically the whole winter up until about February, I was kind of dealing with that. So I didn't really do much. And then once February came around, I started lifting a lot more. And then I started lifting into track season as well. And then track came, had a pretty good season in track, broke like the sophomore record.
Yeah, let's hear about any accomplishments that went along with each of those years too.
All right. So sophomore year for football, I mean, I played varsity as a sophomore, like only varsity, which I thought was pretty cool, which most sophomores don't get a chance to get. And then track as well. I was a varsity athlete. I got not the school record, but like the class record for the 100-meter dash and the 200-meter dash for like the sophomore class. I ran 11.18 in the 100, and I think it was like 22.74 in the 200. And then we had I didn't play really any. I did Rangers Express. I didn't do any like sport in the summer other than like we'd have like football training, and then football season came around, which I thought football this year was a blast because at first it was I was kind of like nervous. I was out for like the team. I didn't know how the team would do this year, but I think we all, as the season went on, we kind of figured it out all together. And the lucky thing was we had a lot of kids in the senior class right now who were like returning starters because last year there wasn't much of a senior class, so a lot of juniors had to like step it up and like varsity for the first time. So that's why last year's football was such a challenge. But football had a pretty good season. I think I don't know if I led the team or not in like receiving. It was close between me, Rico Cooper, Steve Reif, but I went all conference, and I think that was the biggest accomplishment. And then winter, I didn't play a sport. I just lifted a lot. I actually gained like 20 pounds. I think I was 163 in August, and then in March I was like 185, 190, which I tried to gain weight. I mean, I didn't know I'd gain that much, but that was cool. And then track just started up again, and my record last year for the 100 was 11.8 1.8 as a sophomore, and then opening meet I ran 11.12, which was the junior class record. Which I mean, I didn't expect to like PR my first meet back, especially when I'm like 25 pounds heavier. I didn't think that would happen. And then same thing in the 200, I ran 22.46, which was a PR also. And then Coach Elias, and he's one of the track coaches, he said to me, "Oh, if you run good times, you can go compete at this Hamlin meet," which is like the best kids in the state all running at the same meet. So that was, I think, April 29th, few like 2 weeks ago. Went and ran there. And there I ran 10.84, which was the school record. The school record was 11.04, and then I got it at 10.84, which was awesome. And I ran against the best kid in the state, which felt pretty cool because before I didn't really have a lot of competition in the meets because like there was just no one really to run against to like really, which I don't know if it was good or bad for me because, well, obviously it was good for me, but it kind of made me learn. Like I had to calm myself down and focus on form. So I wasn't trying to, I wasn't like breaking my form as I'm trying to catch like the faster people.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tuesday, just like the Tuesday that just passed 2 days ago, I ran 22.03 in the 200, which is another school record, which was 22.29. So I beat the 100-meter dash school record and the 200-meter dash school record this year, which, I mean, it's pretty good accomplishment. And then I'm hoping to put up, because we have a pretty stacked conference for track for like sprints. So I'm hoping that I can compete well in conference and sections and hopefully go to state.
Yeah, so you're only in your junior year right now. You said 2 school records. I think you kind of mentioned a lot of it. You're making some giant progress just from your freshman to your sophomore year, and your sophomore, definitely from your sophomore to your junior year. You talked about gaining a ton of weight, good weight, not just bad weight here. You talked about lifting in the winter, Raiders Express, playing multiple sports. Anything else you think would add or adds to that kind of steady progress that you've had so far in high school, and probably continued progress as well? So what do you think kind of adds into that? I think you already named a lot of it, but anything else that really goes into that progress that you've made so far throughout high school?
Probably, I would just say, I mean, I don't have a whole lot for that, but I kind of changed the way I like lifted.
Mm-hmm.
I used a ton of different workouts. Like I focus on like mass workouts, like volume in the winter. But then towards the end of it, before track, I started working on more like explosiveness and power. Like I would do like heavy box squats just to let and like really drive off my feet to try to get more explosive, more powerful, because I thought that'd make me faster and more explosive.
Mm-hmm. Anything with your mentality? I know I've never run track before, but I'm sure there's a lot that goes into it. You talked about calming yourself before the race, being intentional with your form too. So anything else that goes with your mentality, how you approach every single race too, that's steadily kind of increased, or anything that coaches have worked on you with? What's some things maybe that if you worked on that, that's helped you make these kind of improvements with track?
You're asking like mentally?
Yeah, mental things that you've kind of different mentality things that you've taken now to the track to kind of set those school records, and steadily increase those or decrease those times.
So I think a lot of it, like you go to a track meet and there's like it's just a lot of people there, and it's always kind of loud. So when I'm like warming up, I like to just put beats on, listen to music, because it just kind of zones me in a little bit more, and so like it's like quiet. It's like quiet, and I can like focus on my warm up. And then there was also a kid from STA. He's football player, track. He's committed to Wisconsin for track, but for football. And he told me we were kind of talking to a group, and he's like, "Yeah, I never get nervous for football or anything, but for some reason for track, right before a race starts, I'm always super nervous." Which is like, I feel like last year, my sophomore year, I was quite nervous, but now I feel like I'm a little bit more calm as it comes to meets, and I'm not particularly sure why. I don't like. I feel like I have a whole different mentality and I don't know what caused it, but it's just like I'm a lot more calm before the meet, which is pretty good. Obviously, I get a little bit nervous, but I feel pretty calm, which I'm pretty sure helps. Obviously, helps me run a little bit better, and I'm not so like stiff when I run, which
Mm-hmm.
my coach told me, which is good. And they say there's a he's his name's Matthew Bowling. I don't know if you heard him or not, but he's one of the world's like fastest guys. And Coach Cook was telling me that when he'd run against people a lot faster than him, he would always stiffen up as he's trying to like chase him down, and that's what would make him lose because he wasn't loose. So Cook was saying that if what he's really trying to do is focus on being calm and getting a good knee drive so that he can stay calm and actually chase him down rather than being stiff and losing form, which is actually going to slow him down.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
That makes perfect sense. So you talked about the conference meet kind of coming up and trying to peak for that. State sections are coming up. Hopefully make it to state and place in there too. So finishing off your junior year the right way. I know you're only a junior right now, but any kind of plans for after high school? I know you still got a whole year left, another football season, another track season, but what's your ideas right now about what you're looking forward to for the future after high school? Any sports that you want to play? Any ideas about colleges in mind so far? So what's that look like for you?
All right, so I've had a lot of people ask me like, "What do you want to do? Do you want to play sports at college?" Which I was never like quite sure what I wanted to do after high school. I know my parents have asked me a lot. They're like, "You want to go to college? What do you want to do?" And I never really put time into it. I never really thought about it. And I think if I go to college, I'd want to play sports in it because it's just like something I've always done growing up, and I love sports. So I'm probably planning on going to college most likely. I'm not sure what for. I don't know what I'd major in, but I'll probably go to college and I'll probably play sports college as well.
Wonderful. So Mr. Hansen, obviously, you know him. He's our AD. He always asks the coaches at the high school, why do we coach? And we always have to, we're constantly explaining what our philosophy behind why we coach and why we chose to go into coaching and working with high school kids your age. So turning the tables on you, Johnny. You play two sports, you play football and you run track. Why is sports so important to you in your life? And why do you play sports at the high school level?
I like the competitiveness that everybody has because, you meet new people like in high school, and one of the first questions asked is, "Oh, what sports do you play?" Because it's kind of like everybody plays a sport. It's like a hobby that everybody has. And I remember I think it was junior year, we were sitting in a strange room before school, like for like our leadership council thing for football. And he kind of asked everybody, he's like, "Why do you play?" And he told us to like write it down, what makes football different, why do you play? And a big part, everybody in the room, everybody wrote different things, obviously, but one thing we all kind of had in common was the idea of like brothership and like how we're all one team and how we're playing with the guys we're playing with in high school right now are the guys we grew up with our whole life. So like I'll go play football with like Tom Reifenberger, and I've been playing football with him since I was like 7, just in the backyard. So I think it's really cool that we all kind of grew up together and are all playing like a sport for the city that we grew up in. And I think that what it means a lot to a lot of people.
Nice. Next two questions for you. They're kind of similar, but if you could come up with a couple different things for each one or just one thing for each one, that'd be great. So first one is your best or one of your most rewarding things so far as a high school athlete. And the second one is your favorite moment so far as a high school athlete. So like I said, that first one, your best or like one of your most rewarding experiences. And the second one, your favorite moment.
All right. So I think my best like achievement, rewarding moment was probably scoring my first varsity touchdown as a sophomore. I mean, there was no fans because of COVID, but it still felt really good. Or the same thing for like my first junior year touchdown, just felt super good. And then I'd see all the fans cheering, and it just made me pretty happy. And then another one is probably just like breaking the school records in track, because it's like, oh wow, no one from Hastings has actually done this before. So it kind of feels good to be the first. And then what was the second question you said about?
So your best or one of your most rewarding experiences.
All right. So it had to be after it was a home football game this year. I'm not sure what team. It might have been Creighton. It could have been Simley, Apple Valley. I'm not sure, but I was just sitting, just laying down. There's a picture. I have a picture of me and Gavin Oddman just laying next to each other on Todd Field. And we're kind of telling each other like, oh, let's just soak this moment in. Because I'm sure years from now, we're going to remember playing football with all the boys together. So we were just kind of sitting there. It was quiet. It was dark. It was just, and like, we just had the lights on the field. The whole team was on the field, just sitting there talking. It just felt pretty good that we were all just sitting there. We were just like soaking in Friday night football under the lights with the whole team and the whole city. And that's just like, it just really like lit something up in me, you know?
Mm-hmm. Nice. Last one then, kind of about these questions that Mr. Hansen loves to ask us. What about success? How would you define success as a high school athlete?
Well, everybody kind of says like success is more than just winning or losing, which I agree with. Like, I agree with in a way, but I also agree with in a different way, because realistically, everyone wants to let's win state, let's go to the state tournament, and you got to win to get there. You can't. So obviously you want to win, which is a big part of success. But I also think success is like, because I think there's like success in track is different than success in football. So like success in track is you can always beat your time, get a new personal best, which feels good because like you can actually see. The thing I like about track is you can like see the work that you're putting in. Actually, you can see it pay off because you get better time. And then in football, I think success comes from, doing your part. Like, it's a team game, there's a lot of guys in the field, but success comes from like, if you do your part and you trust that all the other guys in your team do your part, then that's what's become a successful team, is like trusting your teammates and everybody doing their right thing to make their part on the team.
Perfect. So you played 2 sports so far at the high school, and you've
Yeah.
played a lot of sports growing up. So you've had a lot of coaches in your life and coaching you. So this is a super hard question to just pick one. So if you want to pick a couple, that's okay, Johnny. So who do you think one of the best coaches is that you've played for? This could be defined in multiple different ways. So maybe someone that's really challenged you, maybe someone that coached you and taught you something that really stuck with you, maybe someone that has just always been there for you. So who do you think the best coaches that you've played for?
All right. I would say probably Cook as a coach, because I'm more speaking from a track point of view right now. But track, football, I've had great coaches everywhere, but football is like, there's too many guys, I feel like, for like the coach to really connect with. But in track, you can connect, like Coach Cook, you can connect with him all the time, because there's a lot of times when it's just like, I'll be there with just Brendan Fryermuth doing blocks, and it's just us two and Cook, and then he can really like connect with us as athletes. So that just feels good, because like to actually have a good connection with your coach. Whereas in football, there's so much going on, and it's such more of a bigger like team sport, to the point where it's a lot harder for the coach to like connect one-on-one with every single kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as an athlete, like one of the best things in a coach is the connection that you have with them and how they make connections with you.
For sure. Same kind of question now with the guys that you play with. So you play 2 different sports. You got a lot of different teammates. You just talked about football, having a ton of teammates, track a little bit smaller. So very hard to maybe nail down one person. You already named a lot of people too. So if you can maybe think of one of those most valuable teammates, or maybe that best teammate that you've played with, who do you think that would be? And once again, we can define this in many different ways. This could be the person, holding the block with you. This is someone that's maybe you're racing with every single day, that's challenging you, maybe an older athlete that you always looked up to. So who do you think one of those best teammates is that you've played for or played with?
Probably, I gotta say Steven Reifenberger on this one, because I grew up with him my whole life. I've always been playing football with him. He's always been bigger. He's always been fast. He's older than me. So me being able to compete, like trying to compete with him, I feel like made me a lot of a better better player because I'd always have someone better than me that's like pushing me and like playing with me, which really helped me. And then on the football field, he'd always like set good examples for all the receivers or cornerbacks trying to get in the drills. And he was just like a good guy to like, you'd ask him a question, he'd help you out. Or he'd always be doing something right so that you could learn from him, which I think is a good trait to have.
For sure. I love
Yeah.
this question now too, Johnny. The next one I got for you. It's different for every person that played sports. So it's kind of interesting to hear who your favorite opponent is that you've played against. And sometimes with different sports, it could be an event too. So it could be going to the Hamlet event for you. If you're doing that every year for track, an event that is always going to bring the best out of you. Or once again, for football, I don't want to take the words out of your mouth, but every time we played STA, that seems like the
Yep.
number one
Yeah.
team for everybody when it comes to football. So who do you think that opponent is that you always look forward to playing, or event that you always kind of looked forward to and you always got up for it too?
All right. So in football, obviously, you mean you kind of already said it. Every year we're like, oh, STA week. It's like the thing we focus on the most because we always want to beat STA. So as a team, it's definitely STA because they always challenge us. The coaches know they always challenge us, and so I enjoy that challenge. But then this year there was one particular guy on I think it was Bloomington Kennedy in one of our section games for football, and I'd say he was probably without a doubt probably the best kid on the team. I mean, Bloomington Kennedy, they weren't like the most structured team, so I think this kid was kind of fed up with that, and he would always just get so mad at me, and he'd always be trying to make all these cheap plays. Like I remember he kept getting so mad, and I was just kind of laughing because I knew he was going to do something stupid. So I'd block him, and I just kept holding him because I was just waiting for the whistle, and then the whistle finally blew, and at this point he was just so mad, and then he just like threw me to the ground. Ref threw a flag, and we got like a ton of yards out of it, which was it's just kind of I just thought it was good because like I knew that I mean I was just kind of like in his head and he just kept
Mhm.
getting mad at me. But I thought it was good but he was like a good player also, and he'd make plays on me, and then he would just keep talking, and I mean it was kind of making me mad. But then I scored a touchdown on him, and he just sat there on the ground. There's
Mhm.
video of it sitting there on the ground, and he's like beating the ground because he was mad, and it kind of felt good that I was the reason that he was just like so upset. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like it just felt good that yeah, you know what I'm saying.
For sure. Yeah. What about track? Any, you talked about our conference being really good for track and sprints. Any team in our conference that really brings the best out of you, or you talked about our section meet, our conference meet, and this Hamlin meet as well. So any kind of event or team that you really look forward to running against?
Mostly in the conference it's STA and Hill Mary because Hill Mary has a few kids like they have you probably won't know the names, but like Simon Seidel, Sawyer Seidel, and like Rashad McKinley, Gianni Hurley. They're like four. They're all like they could all. I think three of them are committed D1 for football. One's going D1 track, and so it's always like a good race. And then STA they have four guys, and they have four guys that all are going to go D1 for football as well. So it's just like a ton of athletes in one race. So I think our conference race this year, there's gonna be like 4 or 5 D1 football players just in the 100-meter dash alone. So it's just like super good competition all around. So that's why I like the conference meet so much. But it's mostly the 100-meter, 200-meter, 4x1. That's where it's really like super stacked, and we don't know who would win it there. So it's always fun to find out.
Nice. All right, Johnny, last couple questions then for you. So you got 3 years of high school experience. You're playing two different sports. If you could give parents or coaches two pieces of advice from your experiences and your perspective, what do you think they would be and why?
I think one for coaches would be to really be like patient with your players because I mean there's some guys that you're gonna try to coach, and to be honest, they're not really gonna care about the sport, and it's gonna feel like coaching them is probably a waste of time. But there's also guys that are like I don't want to say like nervous or like shy, but they don't want to like speak up, but they're actually like they're really trying to learn. So like it's good to like spend a lot of time with them, and because it's going to make them better. And most people want to get better in the sport they're playing. So coach like really patient, like goes through exactly how to do it, really tries to get people to ask questions. I think that's a good trait for a coach. And then another one is like, hold on, probably being like completely honest with your team, because like if as a player, if my team, or if I'm doing bad, or if my team's doing bad, I want to like hear the coach say, like, I want his honest opinion. Like if we're doing bad, I want him to say that. I don't want to, if I'm playing bad, I don't want a coach to be like, you're playing good, but here's what you can do better. I want to hear you're doing this wrong, and here's how you can make it better. Because I think when someone's like, okay, you're doing this wrong, then it's like, okay, now how can I want to know, how can I make it better? It's not, okay, well, I'm already doing this good, so doing this better wouldn't mean a lot. So I really want the honest truth as a player from a coach.
Nice. Last question then for you, Johnny. Same kind of question, but now for younger student athletes. So at one time you were that younger kid on the football team and younger kid on the track team looking up to those older athletes. Now the roles are reversed here, and you're that older kid, and a lot of people are looking up to you. So what would you tell those younger student athletes on the team? 2 pieces of advice for them.
2 pieces for advice. I think one would be like, I don't know. I feel like I think I saw on TikTok or something, but I saw a quote that said like, you'll never regret giving it your all, because you'll sit there and you'll be like, dang, I should have done 1 extra rep. I should have ran a little faster. But you're never sitting there saying, oh, why'd I do this, man? I did too many reps. I worked too hard. Because you're always trying to make yourself better, and you're going to get better if you work harder, and you're never going to regret if you don't work as hard as you can. So I think that's a good piece of advice. And second one, probably just like your mindset and how you can be more of a positive player, because I think your mindset has a big part of how you play. And if you think you're going to do good, then we'll do good. And we have like in football, we have like I think her name's Sindra from like Mankato, and she teaches us how to have better positive mental attitude, I think she calls it. So if you're really positive and you think you can, then I think that's like, if you think you can, then you will, is like a quote. And I kind of live by that.
For sure. So Johnny, that's all the questions I got for you here. Last thing we always do is just turn over the microphone to you. So anything that you want to add in, any other shout outs, anything I forgot to ask you, the time's now and you can go for it.
I really got nothing, to be completely honest.
That's all right. Awesome. Thanks, Johnny, for your time.
Yeah.